Welcome to Freedom Fridays at Edge Radio Australia. I'm Travis Carter, all the way in Harlong at the moment. And like always, we've got our special guest all the way from the United States, Dr. Dan Worthington. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming in, joining us once again, showing us your gorgeous face, and just generally chewing the fat and talking about the greatness of America and why freedoms are so important. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Freedom is very, very important. I think we need to talk about a few things that the Trump administration has been doing. I think it's been remarkable what they've been able to accomplish in a fairly short period of time. It's been quite interesting. They've managed to get a hand around or arm around all this fraud, waste, and abuse that was going on in the Social Security system with illegal immigrants being on the Social Security rolls are not supposed to be. Not supposed to be on voter rolls or any of that, right? Because they're not citizens of the United States. So he's managed to close down the border, something Biden said he couldn't do without congressional action. He's managed to save billions of dollars in Social Security because of illegal immigrants. So he's passed historic rescission packages to save taxpayers $9 billion in wasteful political motivated funding for left-wing foreign scams and biased NPR and PBS. So he's cut off NPR, National Public Radio. It's the wholesale price of eggs has been reduced by 53%. Actually, it's down to 62%. You can get 5 dozen for 13 bucks. It's amazing. The U.S. economy has now added another 671,000 jobs. This is up to July from January. The jobs number beating expectations. Native-born workers have accounted for all the job gains, while native-born employment increases by increasing 2,079,000, while foreign-born employment has fallen by 543,000. U.S. Customs and Border have encountered just 6,000 illegal immigrants at the southern border in June, setting a new record. Record low, 15% lower than the previous year, set in March. Additional zero illegal immigrants were released in the United States. They've ramped up deportations, breaking a record with a number of deportation flights. Self-deportation has been a massive success, so they've been leaving themselves. Additionally, over 600 known and suspected terrorists have been removed from the United States. And then, at the president's direction, Immigration and Customs Enforcement has arrested over 100,000 illegal criminals, including over 2,700 members of the vicious Tren Agua gang. The president ordered the attack on a Venezuelan vessel that was smuggling illegal drugs into the United States. And interdicted. They've now named Trey Agua and a number of these other gangs as enemies of the United States, domestic terrorists. So, Energy Department reached its fastest rate of new oil drilling permits in years, exceeding the Bidens by 44%. Since President took office, core inflation rate is tracking just at 2.1%. I think it's to 2.4% now, but still well under the numbers. Fed is going to be decreasing interest rates again. At least that's what we've been hearing. Wholesale. Okay, let's look at that. Summer gas prices reached the lowest level since 2021. Inflation adjusted area of a near 20-year low. Deregulation efforts have saved Americans over 180 billion, or $2,100 per family, before rolling back of automobile-related rules alone expected to save consumers 1.1 trillion. President Trump secured a historic agreement with NATO members to raise defense spending by 5% of their GDP. Strong decision leadership has obliterated Iran's nuclear program, at least for the time being. Trump secured ceasefires between India and Pakistan, Israel and Iran, peace agreement between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, and a pathway to stability in Syria. As a result of his historic peacemaking efforts, he's already received 3 Nobel Prize nominations since returning to office. Hillary Clinton says she would nominate him if he got Putin to agree to a peace. Anyway, side.
I reckon he will get it. He will get it by the end of his term.
Yeah,
That's my honest belief. I think he will get it. So
I think so. Blue collar wages saw largest increase in growth in 60 years. Company and foreign governments have pledged over 7.6 trillion in investments in the United States. U.S. Treasury has taken nearly 20 billion in tariff duties since January 2025, and the agency posted a record 27.2 billion in surplus in June, the first surplus since 2005. President Trump once again proved to be a deal maker in chief, inking mineral deals with Ukraine, 14 billion in perpetual golden share sale of steel trade deals with United Kingdom, China, and Indonesia. Also signed 170 executive orders, delivering on campaign promises, closing border, protecting children, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I mean, by any measure, very impressive, track record. He's gotten tremendous pushback from the liberal left judges who are activists, and Supreme Court's been slapping the judges down right and left, and being criticized by Justice Gorsuch for taking such an anti-Trump agenda, politically motivated activism that the judiciary is not supposed to be playing. The liberal justices are bitching and moaning because they say, well, we can't really depend on what the Supreme Court says, so why don't we just make our own rules? That's just not how the judiciary works. Supreme Court manages and administrates the judicial system in the United States. So they're coming to a loggerhead, and I think Supreme Court, of course, has the last say. So we'll see how all this kind of works out. This goes on for pages, and so I think I'll leave it to you now.
So there's just a few I want to touch base on. So I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but on Friday, local jobs data came out. Overall, for the last, I don't know if they're quarterly or monthly, but over the last, I'm going to say they're quarterly because that's what we do in Australia. The number of new jobs that were created was actually down 12%, and a lot of the Democrats go, oh, you screwed over the economy. Inflation is floating where it's meant to be, but average wages went up 0.5%, so next to nothing.
Yep. More women jobs, more minority jobs, all that.
Correct. So what they didn't actually report on, and I've been trying to dig up these figures, and from what I can tell, the 12,000 job losses were all government-based jobs. They were all DEI hires and all that sort of stuff, which is exactly what the American people have asked for. So I personally, even though, yes, the jobs have gone down, they're not government jobs. So what people have to understand, whenever the government hires someone, it's the taxpayer that pays for it. It's not generating income for the country. It's actually costing the country money. So I think this is a great thing. I think this is 12,000 jobs that the American taxpayers are actually saving money on. The total increase in wages is a good sign. It means more Americans are actually reporting their income rather than being a cash-based economy, underpaying illegal immigrants for stuff. And the thing is, which this is a big support for what Trump's done, if you'd assume that all your wages went up drastically because you're not hiring people for lower income, then all the prices are going to go up. But all the prices are either staying steady or decreasing a little bit. And as what we're seeing with like everyday groceries, fuel prices, the eggs that you were just mentioning, down 63% or whatever it was. So this tells me that the economy as a whole, especially the job market, is actually resetting back to where it was supposed to be. So it's undoing.
And part of it, you had undue stress on, household goods and other things, groceries and other things, because you had a lot of illegal people in the United States purchasing those items, thus increasing inflationary pressure on those items. Now, a lot of those people are gone, and that pressure is off. Plus, they're using government money to buy it for the most part, and so you got a threefold savings there, and We may have to spend more in foreign aid, but I kind of doubt it with Trump because we're sending people back to their countries where they need to figure it out because that's
Yep.
what people do. We're getting them on our hair, so we don't have to support them financially, which we shouldn't have to support them financially. They weren't here legitimately to begin with, and so Democrats piss and moan about that. So sad. I mean, there go your voting base exiting stage left. There's one study that I saw that they're like, jury pools in California, 790,000 people were denied access to being in the jury pool. Why? They were not U.S. citizens, but they were registered voters in California.
I find that amazing how you can do that.
Yeah,
You're
no,
effectively
it's illegal. It's illegal. But that's one of the things that I saw, and it's something that gotcha. And so there's all this cheating going on, and Democrats are clearly behind it. I imagine Republicans do a little bit on their own. I don't know, but this stuff's being uncovered, along with a lot of the claims about the 2020 election and other things being left bare naked and founding and verified that indeed there was shenanigans supported by many never Trumpers and others who were out to destroy his reputation and everything.
Yeah.
And
I have
so
a theory. Yeah, I have a theory about that election. Because of what they did to, I don't think Joe Biden was in charge of the Democrat Party at any point in his career. I think it was actually Jill Biden. So remember when they tried to force?
I think it was Obama.
Obama. I still my conspiracy theory is it was Jill. So in the 2020 election, the one that Trump lost, there was that the graph's going like this, and then it spikes up all over one night. I think it was 140,000 votes or something in one hit. So I personally feel that's where Jill's gone, oh, we're in trouble here. Pull the trigger, put those votes in, and that's what's happened. And then because they screwed Joe over in the 2024 election, they've probably gone to her going, hey, we're losing, pull the trigger, get your people to put those votes in. And she's gone, no, I'm not doing it. And that's why you never had that quick spike on the vote. And that's why there wasn't as much branch stacking or vote harvesting as there was in the 2024 election. I think the 2024 election was a truer election than the 2020 election.
Well, you're probably right. But the other thing that you forget is that Obama was being paid $12 million a year to advise, I use that air quotes, President Biden. He was paid, in addition to his presidential retirement, the guy was extorting the American government $12 million a year to be an advisor to President Biden. We know what that means. He was essentially in control of the levers of power. Yeah, maybe Jill Biden was a part of that. And certainly Joe Biden's election machine, certainly wasn't going to be supportive of Kamala Harris after Kamala Harris and the Democratic apparatus screwed him. And so I agree with you that whatever influence Joe Biden had, because he admitted on one of the news, we got the most sophisticated rigged election mechanism we've ever had. It was like, oh, yeah, of course you do.
And
he did.
And that's what I'm saying. I think there was a lot of, after they dumped him, he did a few interviews, and obviously Jill rocked up in that infamous red suit on election day, stuff like that. So I think there was a lot where she's just turned around going, no, I'm not helping the Democrats. You treat my husband that way, F you. I have to give credit to Jill. She has been loyal to Joe. Like, I think if someone genuinely felt to harm Joe, I think she would have no problem sending in assassins after people for that sort of stuff. I think she's absolutely dedicated to him. So credit was credit due. I have to compliment her on that one, but I don't think she's a nice person. I think she's a very, very nasty person. And I think that's worked in Trump's favor. So one of the things, just going back to the job figures and the economy side of things, the only thing that Americans, like the actual everyday people, I think the home run for them now would be for Jerome Powell to actually finally do something on the interest rates. I would love to see him do a 50-point interest rate cut, because the job figures are going down. Inflation is steady. Like there's no reason to keep the interest rates where they are. It is, even the last one was politically motivated. Even now, every single reason he gave that why he wanted to leave the interest rates where they are, none of that has come true. All of it's gone in the opposite direction. I've heard the UK is only just above 4%, while America is still sitting on 8%. There's absolutely zero reason why the interest rate should be so high.
No,
And it's
I
costing trillions. Like it is absolutely, and it's not the government that is costing them. This is every person with a mortgage is losing hundreds. So I did a quick calculation for every $100,000 that you loan per month, 1%. Well, obviously 1% is like $1,000. So just dropping it by 1% saves the American people huge amounts of money, and that's money in their pocket that they can re-spend in the economy and to stimulate more jobs. Like I just don't understand how he's not doing it. So Dan,
it's a federal rate, right? So guess who gets the benefit of the increase in interest rates? The Fed.
Yeah.
And who is the Fed?
Jerome Powell.
And the banks.
Yep.
And so what it is it's a siphon off the soul of the American people, right?
You're not dying on me, are you there, Dan?
Yeah, it's just siphoning the soul of the American economy. It's just wrong, and it's been wrong.
So that's the next one I think that Trump really needs to push hard on. He's nearly put, like, besides the Gaza Israel thing and the Iran thing, most other Middle Eastern countries, like you look at Egypt, Jordan, Iraq. Now that's a funny one because they've got all these rockets flying over the top of them. Like they're not the ones involved this time, which is cool. Saudi Arabia, like all those other areas in the Middle East are relatively peaceful at the moment. So he's legitimately, effectively, nearly brought total peace to the Middle East, which is amazing. And then you have a look at some of the biggest warring countries in the world, which is all the African countries as well, all their squabbles, which just happen to kill millions of people. A lot of those are wrapping up now as well on top of it. So I genuinely hope he does get the Nobel Peace Prize. That's my personal belief. I've never seen
Barack Obama got it for sneezing.
Well,
they gave it to him when he was elected for nothing.
I heard he launched more drone strikes than any other president or world leader in history, and he still got a Nobel Peace Prize. Tell me you're corrupt without telling me you're corrupt.
Oh, that's what people do when they don't really want to accomplish anything. They just want to look like they're rattling the sabers and spending dollars in the military-industrial complex. Obama was the perfect clown for the military industrial. Well, so was Biden, but again, Obama was getting paid $12 million a year to advise the president. And so, I mean, this military industrial complex has gone out of control. And it's and the problem is there's a lot of money that's paid to the military industrial complex. It goes back in the pockets of Democratic congressmen. And that is the corruption that they're discovering now. A lot of these companies are owned either in total or in a large part by these congressmen. They shouldn't be allowed to own any interest in those companies.
Yeah. So talking of putting things back into your pockets and doing the dodge. So I did read an article about Adam Schiff getting investigated for mortgage fraud. Now, it doesn't sound like a mortgage fraud, like, whatever. But it's one of those things, and the reason why this one is important, Adam Schiff actually said when they were doing all the investigations into Trump and the impeachment, he said no one is above the law. So he's now been claiming multiple residences as his primary residence, because in America, your primary residence, you get a discounted mortgage rate. Investment properties get a higher interest rate. On top of that, as a member of parliament or member of the House and the committee and stuff like that, you also get allowances to pay for your housing, stuff like that. So he was actually claiming the more expensive house whilst living somewhere else. So his argument was he had two primary residences and he spent an equal amount of time. I think they call it bilateral residency or something. I can't remember. There's a fancy word for it. Anyway, so he was saying that he should be allowed to claim both, even though the law clearly states you're only allowed to claim one. And from what I've heard, there's another US senator as well from the Democrats that are also is getting investigated for this one as well. The Democrats are screaming that this is political warfare. What again, Dan? I'm going to throw this one to you. You've got a lot more experience in the law side of things. What do you think should have? First of all, if Adam Schiff is proven to have been doing this, which he's actually admitted to doing, what should be the outcome of this situation? Because in Australia, we'd tell them they'd have to resign. There'd be a criminal investigation open into it, and they'd be forced to leave the parliament. So the party themselves would make them leave. Obviously, Adam Schiff is one of the leaders of the Democrats. What's going to happen in this situation?
I don't know. I hope he gets. I hope they give him the full penalty under the law, and they force him to resign. But they won't, because Mendez was convicted of a felony and booted. See, the thing, these congressmen and these senators, this is a common thing that they do, because they do have a residency in the district or close, so they can access Congress, and then they have their home, supposedly in their home district. And so, same things happened to this member of the Federal Reserve Board, has also committed this type of mortgage fraud for whatever reason, and is being forced to. President Trump fired her based on cause. I mean, you commit a felony and you're out of there. It doesn't even have to be proven in court. Yeah, it's just enough to have the claim. And so, I think it's a technical argument for the most part, but people who want to rub people's noses in technical jargon under the law, like Schiff, who's lied his butt off for the last 8 years, and who should be in jail for all the things that he's done. This is just it's sort of like Al Capone getting prosecuted for tax fraud, right? Well, Adam Schiff is really worse than Al Capone. He has been a blight on the butt of the American people, and he deserves to go. He deserves to go to prison because of what he did, because he lied to the American people, lied to Congress, lied and subverted justice. The man committed sedition against the sitting president, and thought they got away with it. Now it's time to hold him accountable in one way or another. I don't care if it's based on this, or if it's just based on all the evil doing that he did. He deserves to go to jail. Nancy Pelosi deserves to go to jail for the January 6th instigation. And there are a number of Democrats, high-ranking Democrats, that should be going to jail. And for the shenanigans that they created. It's interesting about Democrats. If they're nailed with some sort of charge or some allegation, what they do is turn around and try to charge the Republicans with the same thing and end up. And then they always double down. They always double down.
Yep.
They never back off. They spin it and they spin it and spin it. And it's all fake news. You got the Council on Foreign Relations and all these people supporting him with the media giants and all of the fake news going on around him, supporting him with the talking points. They sound like mean dogs, talk with the same talking points, no matter. It's just an absolute freaking joke. But the American people are tired of that kind of behavior, as we're seeing, especially since the liberals are taking these 20% arguments and still trying to promote them. What in the heck? That's just stupid. Realize the American people are not stupid. They realize what they tried to do, the Democrats tried to do, and they're not changing their tune. How insane is that? So they go and they beat pans at night and all these other stupid things, trying to make
you beat me to it.
I see all these fake news items on Facebook and other things. They're supposed to bring out Trump, bring out Stephen King and other equally crazy people. I'm leaving the country because I can't stand it anymore. Goodbye. My goodness.
Well, I'm coming to the country. I'm coming to America because I believe that Australia is far worse.
You're a patriot.
Yeah,
That's why. Come to their
I,
country.
I believe Australia, for once, isn't 20 years behind America in this one. I think we're about 20 years ahead of America on the stupidity of what the government is doing, and people are buying a hook, line, and sinker. And I'm just like, I've had enough. I'm out of Australia. Vietnam is a socialist republic country, so they're a communist. It's the easiest way to look at it. I have more freedoms in a communist country of Vietnam, or the socialist country of Vietnam, whatever you want to call it, than what I do in Australia.
Yeah, it's
So,
because
like,
yeah.
oh, it does my head in. So yeah, I'm absolutely. I'm coming to America. I'm coming full guns blazing. Is that what they call it? Blazing saddles.
Yeah.
I'm coming there. I'm going to be a nuisance. I'm deliberately going to a Democratic state because I can. I'm looking at New York State at this stage. We're still in the process of visas and all that sort of stuff. But I'm so excited to get over there, just start messing up shit. I'm gonna be excited. I'm gonna be that one dude with the American flag out the front of the house with the Make Australia Great hat on, and I'll make sure there's a stump in my front yard, and I'll build a snowman over it so some libtards don't try and drive over it and destroy their car.
Yeah, it'll be a hoot.
Well, it's already happened a couple of times in America, and they tried to argue that they were making booby traps, and the court ruled against them because the size of the snowman needed some sort of structure inside of it to stop it from falling over, and therefore it was considered structural, not a booby trap, and then it was the dude's own fault for crashing his car into a stump.
Well,
So
that's dumb. It's just downright dumb for uh, trying to evade personal property rights to begin with. You know.
yeah, exactly. So that's the sort of stuff I love. The fact America has a Bill of Rights. You know exactly what your freedoms are. There's no grey area on this one. Like at the moment, if someone breaks into your house and you beat the living piss out of them, you're the one that goes to jail for assault. They don't get done for breaking and entering and like putting your family at harm's way. In America, it's castle laws. You do whatever you can to defend your own property. As long as you don't shoot them in the back as they're running away, pretty much free game for the rest of it. Like America to me is just the mega FAFO, fuck around, find out country. You mess
Yeah.
up in a house in America, you're done.
Now, however, it's even more that way in Texas and other places like Utah and Wyoming and
Mm,
any of the red states
mm,
actually believe in freedom. See, New York doesn't. I mean, it got a bunch of socialist idiots running the government, and
yep,
they have a majority of people that are so deluded. Well, see, people in the cities tend to vote liberal because
yep.
of the zeitgeist around cities, and every
Yes, that's
city in
why.
the United States is that way. Every major city in the United States. The rest
Yeah,
of the
that's
people
why.
have common sense. The majority are conservative.
Yep, that's why I'm looking at places like Buffalo, near Fort Drum, in the outer suburbs of New York State, because when I had a look at the election map, and it was actually very, very close to being a red area. Like the counties in that area were all red, and you listen to the people, especially with like they were doing interviews in Washington D.C. and they were talking to Democratic, Republican, Democratic senators of parliaments, everyday people in the street, and even Democrat senators were saying that they were 1,000% behind Trump in bringing the National Guard in to fight the crime that was going on. What was you were telling me off air? Something like 23 days without a murder.
Right.
Yeah, where the previous weekend they had 50 something shootings and 7 people died because of gun violence. Like
Yeah. No,
it's not guns that kill people; it's people kill people.
it's
So
stupid
that's what I'm
people
saying.
that
Like,
kill people.
yeah, it's Trump is doing the hard yards. He's doing the right thing, and he's protecting the American people first before his political mates or his business mates and all that sort of stuff. Because he understands that a business doesn't exist without its customers.
Right.
And a
No.
vast majority of customers are the everyday American. So you have to protect the American people if you want to protect business. And
Yeah,
I think that he's
Soros is so polluted these democratic strongholds with these prosecutors who will not prosecute crime in an
mm,
attempt to destroy America.
mm,
That's the problem. I mean, these democratic leaders don't have no balls. They're not going to stand up for their U.S. citizen
mm,
constituencies because they are tied into this. this democratic socialist bullshit that
Hmm.
puts the rest of their citizenry at risk. And and so 3 cheers for Trump.
Hmm.
I think that that's what needs to happen in these major cities is to have them be cleaned up. Exactly
Yep.
right.
You
And
made a
and
very interesting comment about Democrats not having the balls to stand up and do what's right. The ones that did have the balls, they cut them off and they became women.
well, that's probably true. Yeah, true. Or maybe they should. I don't know.
They might at least win some competitions that way. That's gone down a dark path. But yeah, I'm 100%. I still wouldn't have dinner with Trump. The guy just annoys me. But I have to give credit where credit is due. He's doing a wonderful job as the US president. I think dinner with him would be an interesting thing. Um, but I just my next fear is that he's only got what 2.5 years left over.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in in the Republican Party that can fill his shoes?
Yeah,
Or even
I
get
think I
halfway
think
to
that
him?
he's vice president is pretty aligned with his political message, and perhaps if they can build enough of a machine um,
Mhm.
to support everything he's done, then the vice president can step in and continue the march. He's
Mhm.
more likely to do it than see the real problem. The real problem is there's so much money and so much corruption in
Mhm.
Washington D.C. with the corporations and everything else. Trump can't be bought. I mean, really.
Mhm.
And so you need people who stand of the place the American people over personal gain and stand up to the corruption that has historically been a part of that city. As you can see, these fat cats end up padding their stock market returns and everything else with insider information on these Democrats who are supposed to be making 150,000, 180,000 a year, as House ended up with 60, $80 million. Look at AOC. She was a bartender for goodness sake. And now
Yeah, well, she won
she's a
30,000.
multi-millionaire. And I shouldn't get that sleeping on her back. I mean, there's somebody funneling money to her somewhere. And this is the same thing with Kemosabe, whatever her name is, I can't remember. Warren, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and all these corrupt. I mean, Bernie Sanders, gosh, millions and millions of dollars from the drug cartels in the United States.
Mm.
I mean, it's just sad to see the state of politicians in the United States and how truly corrupt they are. And the American people are either asleep at the switch or give crap less enough to get these people elected out. They need to be. The system is set so that reelection is guaranteed for
Mm.
both of these clowns. And so maybe there need to be term limits or something else in place to keep these people from. I mean, look at Joe Biden. He spent 50 years.
Mm.
What a waste. And he never had a real job. He never really earned a living doing anything else but
Mm.
selling drugs and other things. I mean, his family is totally and absolutely bankrupt and corrupt, getting millions and millions and millions of dollars from foreign actors. Everything else, look at Clinton, same thing. In fact, he was bankrupt when he finished the presidency. Look at him now; he's not
Mm.
bankrupt. Clintons are one of the most corrupt couples in American politics. Obama, worth a couple $1 million when he came in as a community organizer. How do you do that? Same sort of idea. It's sort of payola, payola, payola time. It's got to stop. This sort of money in buying influence in the United States government is something that has to stop.
So it's really. I was reading a story. I think it was the Washington Post, believe it or not. They were talking about the donations to the Clinton Foundation whilst he was. I think Hillary was still the vice president or secretary of the state at the time.
Secretary of State,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the donations coming into the Clinton Foundation at the time were huge,
Yeah.
astronomical. The moment she left office, all the donations dried up.
Well,
So you
once she lost to Trump,
yeah,
it was nothing.
no.
This
So
is all
this is
based
what I'm
on that.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. This sort of shit needs to be. I don't know because I know political donations are allowed in America. I know donating to charities instead of giving them directly to the people are allowed. That's just a system that they've set up. So I don't know if you can investigate into them because really, like Trump said when he was debating Hillary Clinton on stage, even if she won, she wasn't going to change the laws because all of her donors and all of her mates use the exact same system that Trump uses as well. So how do you fix something like that when it's already law? Like
Well,
you'd have to change the law.
but PAC Blue was a an organization.
Yeah.
The Democratic fundraising organization accepting foreign money and other things illegally. I mean, and so yeah, there is a way to set it up. You know,
Mm,
non-governmental organizations need to be defunded and stopped.
mm,
That they're not real. They're fake. They're channels of money to support uh, political causes and political activism. That's not the place for the U.S. government to be participating in that. The during the administration, the Biden administration, and even before that, in the prior administration, the Justice Department was giving money away hand over fist in court settlements to some of these NGOs and others that were being they're suing them, then they were settling with them as a way to give them money.
yeah.
And you know, Harris's brother was behind it. Harris was
Mm,
behind it. And so they've got all these little nifty ways of shoveling money off to their friends and funding with deep pockets these causes and everything. All that has to stop. That's fraud, waste, and abuse.
okay. So we've got about 3 minutes left over of the show. So what I'm going to do in the big one, a lot of people don't actually understand how involved American politics is in the that impacts the rest of the world. America sneezes, Australia gets a cold. So knowing what you've been seeing coming up, knowing the actions that Trump's been taking, his teams, Mark Rubio, I think he is an absolute genius. I love listening to him when he speaks. He's just no bullshit, just straight to the point, and he shuts people down. What do you anticipate in the next week or so? What are some of the things that you think we really need to look out for that is actually going to affect your everyday way you live, what you do for your job, stuff like that? Because I know the interest rates are due to come out in 2 weeks. What other big things are due to come up?
No, yeah, you're right. I think interest rates will be reduced. I think the
Mhm.
signal from the Fed is that they will be. I probably 25 rather than 50. I imagine basis points.
Yep.
And so, and I think they're going to quote unquote say taking a measured approach to doing
Mm.
this stuff. I think whatever Trump does, I hope Trump is able to do something in Ukraine. The Russians launched like 600 drones into Ukraine over the last day, and
Mhm.
only two people were killed, but they did a lot of property damage and other things. You
Yep.
know, whatever the Russians do, you know, I sort of invites the Ukrainians to do the same, do more.
Mm.
I think if a lot of what happens if Trump is successful in creating a peace deal in Ukraine, I think Putin is being slimy and slippery,
Mm.
and so I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. But um, that is very important for global stability and for Trump's idea of creating global scale economies, right?
Mhm.
Using creating the global, you know, it's like the globalists want to use. But see, they want to use it to enrich themselves. They don't want to use it to enrich
Mm.
the people. Trump wants to use it to enrich the people, to improve
Yep.
things for the people around the world, and by creating free economies, by creating increasing freedom and other things, and shutting down the globalists who want to do things to be able to put the thumb on the soul of the American of every person's ability to choose the freedom using AI to subjugate us and all that. So
Mhm.
we'll see what happens. We're at the turning point. I think a great junction in our history as a free the free world at least is at a junction. Um, and if it depends on we stand up to those who want to manipulate our freedoms and access and our rights. People, the countries need to be sovereign, independent, free from invasion from foreign sources, that kind of thing. They need to stand up to these folks who are trying to destabilize the countries, especially the Western world, and they need to grow a pair because otherwise they're going to lose their freedoms to groups that don't believe the same things that they do. They don't stand up for the same values that the Western societies have stood up for, that made them important and free. And we're going to lose our identity as free people, and that we need to stand for freedom.
Exactly. So we're going to wrap it up here, Dan. You've been absolutely brilliant for today's show once again. The wealth of knowledge you have, I don't think we could make this show without you. So thank you very much for being on board with us for this one. So what we're going to do, we're going to wrap it up here. This is Edge Radio Australia. You can listen live at edgeradioaustralia.com.au, or you can watch the follow-up for Freedom Fridays on Friday. We record them on Monday just because it's easier. And if you do have any questions, make sure you email us at info@edgeradioaustralia.com. .com. I kept adding in the AU for some reason. Anyway, Dan, thank you very much, and we will see you bright and early next week.
All right, buddy. Take care.